right time. So anyway, today we're going to do a couple of poses that I find quite fun. One is chest down spinal twist. And you will end up with your chest on the mat. And if you have a tender chest, if you've had surgery or something, you can always take a towel and put it up here, roll it up however much you want. I like to do this with a towel and get right underneath my collarbones because it gives my head just a smidgen more space so I can turn my head. If I'm flat on the mat, then I'm really straining my trapezius and it's uncomfortable. You can also place it on your soft ribs or anywhere in between to help out. Also, you can use your blocks. And this is just a little bit harder. Now, I am no longer anywhere going to be landing blocks or straps. This COVID thing just is enough. I'm just not going to do it anymore. So when I come back, please get blocks. They don't cost much. Amazon has them for $8 a piece. You can find them cheaper at Kohl's or at Target most of the time. One other thing you can do with blocks, in addition to giving them to your grandkids, and they love to play with them, we're going to be doing a reclining swan and an inversion if we have time. And what I'm going to recommend is you put the block on your sacrum. And your sacrum is at the bottom part of your spine. It goes from just about the top of your pelvis and it comes down to your tailbone. There are 5 vertebrae that have fused together, and that's what they were intended to do when you were in your late 20s. But your sacrum is the part that ties into both wings of your pelvis. And you want the block to be supporting your sacrum. And every time I don't teach this, I find somebody who has the block up here or way down here, and you can hurt your back. And that is not a good thing to do. Okay, so I think we're ready to go. We're going to start today in a seated position. So come on to your mat. Most of you are there already. Now you can cross your legs. If you wish, you can have your legs straight out. That's fine. Notice how your hips feel. Notice how your hip sockets feel, your knees, your lower back. And now switch your legs. If your left leg was in front, put your right leg in front, or vice versa. And I'm up on a block so that my pelvis tilts forward. Sit bones are right on the very front edge. So the block actually comes up off of the mat as my pelvis tilts. Raise the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Allow your eyes to close. Feel the subtle differences in your hips, and your knees, and your feet, and your back as a result of changing your legs around. Take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and exhale it out through your nose. Take another deep cleansing breath in through your nose. Exhale it out through your nose. And let your breath come to its own natural rhythm, in and out through your nose. Feel how your breath Brushes in through your nostrils. How it goes down into your lungs. On your next inhale, open up your eyes. The first pose that we're going to do is dragonfly. Dragonfly is a straddle. Now you can sit up on a block if you wish. You can sit on your sit bones directly. I like to have a little bit of elevation, so I just fold up a towel. It really doesn't matter. But we're going to do this a little bit different. Make sure you have blocks available. Whether or not you use them or not is up to you. But then spread your legs wide and then bring your footprints to the mat or outside of your mat, which is probably going to be the case. Find a comfortable distance apart. Bring your arms inside your legs. Inhale your spine tall. Try tilting your pelvis forward again. Close your eyes and begin to walk your hands forward, coming into a forward fold. Now your forward fold might not be very far. You might be almost vertical, but that's okay. And when you come to the first bit of resistance, just pause there for a moment. Breathe into your back, maybe into your kidneys. And notice where the restraint is. It might be your back, it might be your legs. Notice all the sensations that you created coming into this position. Breathing in and out through your nose. Use your breath to explore the parts of your lungs that are compressed. By understanding your body position with relationship to your lungs will help you breathe in challenging positions, challenging situations. Listen carefully. On your next inhale, open your eyes just so that you can see your feet and the mat in front of you, and maybe push your heels forward 6 or 8 inches, straightening your legs a bit, but not a lot. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and then exhale, fold forward again, and allow your spine to round. Allow your head to fold forward so that you're getting a bit of tension on your cervical spine just by the weight of your head. And notice how the sensations in your body have changed just by that tiny motion, that tiny move. Use your breath to breathe into wherever those sensations are greatest. Now, if your arms are out long, they don't have to be. You can always bend your elbows.
You can bring your palms up to the ceiling or even move your arms out, hands out closer to your feet. In other words, find what's comfortable. On your next inhale, open your eyes again. And this time, straighten your legs any bit more that you can, but you don't want to make it so that your legs are so intense that they can't relax. Notice how this is affecting your hip flexors this time. Maybe, maybe not. Inhales, lengthen your spine. And then exhale, maybe you can fold forward another 1/4 inch. And then just completely release your arms, your shoulders. And try to let your shoulder blades just drizzle down your back. Use your breath again to explore the bounds of your lungs again, which are different than they were when you started. Try breathing into your kidneys again. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, slowly walk your hands back, lifting your chest up. Use your hands to help your feet come back towards the center of your mat. But the exact location is up to you. Bring your hands behind your hips. And then windshield wiper your knees from left to right, but be very slow when you start. And feel what's going on in each leg. Maybe your legs feel the same on each side, maybe they don't. And the next time you even out your sides, pause there, straighten your legs out towards the front of the mat, push your heels away. Make sure you have a towel or a block handy. Come down onto your elbows, all the way down onto your back. Lift your arms up towards the ceiling, and then lower them down towards the far wall and stretch from your heels to your palms, from your fingers to your toes. Spread your toes, wiggle them, same with your fingers. Then return your hands next to your hips. Find your block. This next pose is Reclining Swan. Now, if you don't have a block, you don't need it. But if you do have a block, you will be using it. So on an inhale, just walk your feet up towards your sit bones. On an inhale, tuck your tailbone under, lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Feel that nice stretch in your quads and in your back. And then exhale, lower back down. This time, grab your block and place it the flat way with the long dimension going from left to right, from one hip to the next. Inhale, lift your hips up. Place that block underneath your sacrum. and then lower back down. And if you're not on a block, that's okay. Lift your right leg up towards the ceiling, put your footprint on the ceiling. Really push that heel away, stretching that hamstring. And then bend that right knee, bring the ankle over the top of your left thigh. And on an inhale, lift that left knee up, reach your right hand between your legs, and make a bind behind your left thigh or maybe in front of your left shin. Come into Reclining Swan. Now this is a glute stretch. So the target are your glutes and your hip socket on the right side. But many of you will be feeling this maybe even more on the left side. If you have pain in your knee, flex your foot. That will prevent that knee from twisting. Now, the nice thing about a reclining swan is that we have an ability to make all kinds of variations. You can bring just literally dial in where the tension goes. You could move your right knee off to the left so that your knees are almost stacked over towards the left side, and draw your knees in and feel how the tension in your glutes moved. Maybe you want to just reach down and feel. For all of you who are reluctant to put your hands on your own body, it's been clinically proven that if your eyes are closed, nobody can see you. So use your hands. Your hands have a great healing ability. They can make your muscles soft. You're giving them permission to release. Now, if you'd like to experiment and move that right knee way out to the right so that maybe your heel is right on the center of your left thigh, try that and see the difference. To intensify this, maybe you want to just use the strength in your leg to push your right thigh away. Or just release your right hand and use that to apply just a little bit of pressure on the middle of your right thigh and push it away a little bit. By using the block, you're using more of gravity's available energy. You're not having to use your muscles to keep your legs down. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, release your bind. Allow that left foot to come down to your mat. Take that right foot up towards the ceiling. Stretch that hamstring by pushing your heel up. And when you're ready, bend the knee. And your right foot comes down to meet the left. Inhale, lift your hips up. Release the block. Lower back down. And then draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. rock from left to right. Or maybe make circles with your knees. And if you're making circles, make sure you go the opposite direction. From here, roll all the way over onto your right side. Use your left hand, push the floor away, come up to seated. And then I want to get you into table. So once you get into table, automatically just go right into the cat and cow. Make sure that your knees are directly below your hips. Your wrist crease is directly below your shoulders. On an inhale, your belly drops, your chest comes forward, your sit bones lift and separate. On an exhale, round your spine, tuck your tailbone under, and last, your chin comes towards your chest. Come back to center. Then walk your hands and knees off to the left side of your mat. It can be pretty narrow table. And from here, just lower your right hip carefully onto the mat so that your thighs are parallel to the front of the mat. This is where you may want to use a block or a rolled up towel underneath your collarbones. But you look forward and walk your hands forward. Coming down on your chest. And as you come down, bring your arms out into T. You can adjust the location of the block, of the towel, as you need. Maybe you're right. Maybe you can look off to the right towards your right fingers, but that's not necessary. You do not want to overstress your cervical spine. Those are some of the smallest bones and smallest muscles in your body, and it's easy to hurt them. Notice the sensations here. Breathe in and out through your nose. Feel how open your shoulders are with your hands really stretching out. Maybe you can feel some tension across your shoulders as your shoulder blades are pulled apart. And if you'd like a little bit more sensation, maybe crab walk your right hand, still way out at the length of your arm. Walk that up towards the front of your mat, any amount. 6 inches can be really significant. Sort of that you're making a snow angel. And feel the stretch in your shoulder. And if it's too much, just come back. You might want to try that with your left arm also. And dial in exactly the right point for you. You may find that you want to tent your fingers to hollow out your armpit or not, but soften your side body. Soften your lower abdomen. allow both arms just to retreat down to the mat or to the floor and be supported. You may have to walk your hands back, but that's okay. You want to be able to soften the muscles that are being stretched, because that's when the tension gets transferred from your muscles into your fascia, your connective tissues. And that's when the magic of yin works. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, begin to walk your hands back next to your chest. Lift the floor up a little bit. Straighten out your legs and just come over onto your belly. Turn your head to one side or the other. Bring your arms down alongside your body. And just put your palms up towards the ceiling. Maybe rock your hips from left to right, because that's kind of cute. And then bring your hands up next to your face. Rise up onto your elbows. Get your elbows right underneath your shoulders. Your palms are on the mat. Your legs are stretched out behind you. Your toenails are down on your mat, coming into Sphinx. Now with Sphinx, lift your chest high. Your gaze should be somewhere between your hands. Again, you're being conscious of your cervical spine. Isometrically here, you can drag your elbows towards your hips. Push your toenails into the mat, lifting up your knees. Still keeping your chest high, trying to keep your shoulder blades low, closer to your hips. This is the yang version, the strength building version. We do this just to identify those muscles that you're going to soften. Begin to soften those muscles. Let your feet soften, your knees come down, your thighs, your lower belly, your lower back. It may even feel like your head and chest are rising. And then notice where the sensations are greatest in your spine. Maybe you can identify the exact vertebra. And then allow your head just to bow forward. Maybe move that head a little bit left and right. Make sure that there's no tension being stored. And on your next exhale, release, fold your arms, use your forearms as a pillow, gaze off one direction or the other, and bring your left knee up close to your shoulder, close to your elbow, kind of in a half frog. This half frog allows your spine to turn, to twist a little bit. relieving the tension that you had built during Sphinx. And then on an inhale, return the left leg back to the back of your mat. Come back up onto your elbows. We're going to do another Sphinx, or if you do quite a bit of back work, you can even extend this into seal pose. But in either case, if you'd like to walk your feet out to the outer edges of your mat to see how this feels, but keep your toenails down, lift your chest high. If you're going to do seal, maybe take your palms out at 15, 20 degrees towards the corners of your mat. And then on an inhale, lift your chest. Isometrically, drag your elbows back. Push your toenails down. So you're being suspended between your toenails, your pubic bone, and your elbows for Sphinx. And if you want, maybe straightenish your arms. And this becomes a pretty strong back bend. And then begin to release. Allow your feet, allow your thighs to come down. Allow your belly to soften. Your shoulder blades kiss. And feel your spine and the muscles of your back. Allow your head to bow forward. And on your next exhale, release. Come all the way down. Cross your arms again. Turn your head the opposite direction. And bring the other knee up. And notice how this little tiny twist of your spine gives instant relief to your spine. On your next inhale, bring your right leg back to meet the left. Bring your hands next to your chest. Push the floor away, rising up. Spread your knees wide, coming into a child's pose, as wide as you would like. You can increase the width of your mat with a towel. Lower your hips down onto your heels first, and then walk the hands forward. Maybe your forehead comes all the way down to the mat, maybe not. That's not important. But what is important is that your spine is lengthened. You're getting a bit of a rounding of your spine as a counter pose for Sphinx. You're also opening up your hips, stretching your hip flexors. Breathe into your belly. Use your breath to explore your entire lung on each side. Maybe you can breathe into your armpits. And then breathe right into the very, very top of your lungs. Your top two ribs will actually lift and create more space so you can get more oxygen. Breathe into your groins to soften them if they're still active. Just observe the micro movements of your body. As your muscles begin to release one at a time. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your hands back towards your shoulders. Lift your chest up. And come up into a table. And do some long, luxurious cat-cows. We have so many people in this room from Wisconsin that I had to call a cow luxurious. And the next time you come to center, pause, walk your hands and knees off to the right side of your mat. And now carefully lower your left hip down. Again, with your thighs parallel to the front of your mat. And then begin to walk your hands forward, coming down onto your chest, using a block or a towel to raise the floor up underneath your chest or your collarbones. If it makes sense, gaze out towards your left. And your body is different on either side because each side has had a different history. Just being right-handed makes your right side stiffer than your left. Drop into this pose. Let your shoulders just kind of drape down. Soften your belly. Feel the muscles of your back This is being twisted here. And if you'd like to bring your shoulders a bit more, and slowly walk your arm here, back on towards the front of the mat. You'd be surprised how much different this feels than on the other side. When you get to the right spot for your pause there. The only perfect position for your arms is where you find it. Everybody here is in a different posture because everybody here has a different body, a different skeleton, different muscle density. And a different history. By addressing your connective tissues, your fascia, you can regain some lost mobility by allowing that fascia to grow. You do that by stimulating those tissues, by stretching the muscles, and then softening. Just like other yoga classes have edges, you have an edge also. So your edge moves during the pose. So there are no static poses. Each pose is unique to your own body. Begin to deepen your breath. On an inhale, begin walking your hands back towards your chest. Lift your chest up, coming up onto your left hip. And then swing your feet around to the front of the mat. From here, bring your hands behind your hips. Stretch your feet out, lift your chest high. You can lift your hips up off the mat if that feels good to you. And then carefully lower down. Make sure you have a block within reach. Come down onto your back. Stretch your arms out beyond your head, and your heels away. Stretch your toes and your fingers away. Return your hands next to your hips. We're coming to Reclining Swan on the left. So make sure you have your block handy. Walk your feet up towards your sit bones. Tuck your tailbone under. That will bring your sacrum onto the mat. And then lift up And take a couple of breaths here. Maybe draw your heels towards your shoulders. Maybe push your knees towards the front of the room so you can feel your quads and your hip flexors. Really enjoy this. And then carefully lower all the way back down. This time, grab your block. And then inhale, lift your hips up again. Place the block underneath your sacrum. Lower it back down. And then lift your left foot up. Place that foot on the ceiling. Push your heel away. And when you're ready, bend that knee, bringing the ankle over your right thigh. Now that ankle can be all the way up to your hip crease if that makes sense for you. That will intensify this pose, but you don't have to. Inhale, left arm goes between your legs, reaching for the back of your right thigh or in front of your right shin. And let gravity just allow your knees to drop in, giving you nice, steady pressure. You have the same options on this side that you did on the other. Another way that you can modify how this feels is you can just tilt your legs to one side or the other, just a little bit. Maybe 5 or 10 degrees. So your knee moves maybe 2 or 3 inches at most. But explore a different part of your glutes. Your glutes are by far the biggest muscle group in your body. The maximus is the biggest single muscle. And that's where most of us collect the most amount of stress. That and in your hip flexors, your psoas. That's why walking delivers so much relief when you get under a lot of stress. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, slowly lower your foot down to the mat. Raise that left leg up to the ceiling. Let it stay there for a couple of breaths. Maybe spread your toes and crinkle them up. And when you're ready, bring your left foot down to meet the right. Lift your hips up, remove the block, set it aside. Bring your knees into your chest, give yourself a squeeze. And rock from left to right. And make circles one direction. And then the other. And the next time you come to center, pause. The last pose before Shavasana is going to be butterfly. So you can get there by crossing your ankles and rocking frontwards and backwards, or you can just come over onto your right side and use your hand to push the floor away. And rise up to a seated position. So for butterfly is another back, another spine stretcher, and it's also good on your groins. So from here, lift your chest high, the crown of your head up, so tuck your chin in just a little bit. Drop your shoulder blades down. Now your heels can be in close or medium distance apart. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to offer an adjustment later. So inhale, and then on an exhale, forward fold, walking your hands forward. You can use your blocks underneath your ankles. And I have a recommendation. If you use those blocks, just place it so that you barely can feel it. If you're a guy, just so that the hairs on your legs can sense it. And then draw your collarbones towards the front of the mat and the crown of your head towards the far wall. Inhale into the parts of your lungs closest to the biggest resistance. And then observe how far forward you come by how much contact you have with that block. Release the tension in your shoulders by bringing your palms up towards the ceiling and resting your forearms on your legs or on the mat. And as you observe, maybe you can tell how fast your muscles are softening. It's like they accelerate into relaxation. Try breathing into different parts of your lungs. Maybe breathe into your lower belly. That will clear out some of your organs below your rib cage, making your position's a little more comfortable. Listen carefully. On your next inhale, come up just a little tiny bit. And maybe, if you wish to move your feet farther out, try that. If not, don't. But if you were using your blocks before, readjust them so that you can see what happens in this new position. Again, your collarbones come towards the front of your mat, the crown of your head towards the far wall, and then allow your spine to round, allow your head to drop forward. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back, lifting your chest up. Set your blocks aside. With your hands, lift your knees up. And before you start your next windshield wiper, note if you had your feet close together the first time, spread them out wide this time. Just so that it's different, so that you experience it differently. And then slowly, paying attention to what's happening in your legs, in your hips, in your hip flexors, windshield wiper. Maybe even make a twist out of this with your chest. When your knees come left, twist a little bit to your right. It'll give a little bit more stretch to your spine. And then the next time you come to center, pause. From here, straighten out your legs. Come all the way down onto your back. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Maybe try to bring your head towards your knees, although that's not necessary. Push your hips towards the front of the room to lengthen your spine as you rock from left to right, or even right to left. And when you're ready, when you come to center, pause. Release one leg out to the front corner of your mat. Then release the other leg out to the other corner. Bring your arms by your side or way out from the side, your sides into T. Wherever is most comfortable for you at this moment. Rock your hips a little bit left to right to find the perfect setting for your sacrum on the mat. Let your feet fall one direction or the other. Lift your head up 1 inch, stretch long, tuck the chin, and gently lower your head back down. So that you have a little tiny bit of traction. Take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and let it all out through your nose. Take another cleansing breath in through your nose out through your nose. And take rest. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your space. Bring movement to your fingers, into your toes, to your wrists, into your ankles. Gently roll your head from left to right. And when you're ready, bend your knees, walk your feet up towards your sit bones. Give yourself another squeeze. And the next time you come over on your right side, pause there in fetal pose for just a moment. Do a quick body scan to determine if you have any stress or tension that hasn't been addressed in the class, so that you can make a note to address it later or in another class later this week. And then using the strength in your left hand, push the floor away. Rise up to a seated position. Thank you for sharing your yoga practice with me this afternoon. It gives me a great deal of inspiration to see each of you here practicing, improving your body and your health through the practice of yoga. Take the compassion and empathy that you practice every time you come to your mat. Take that with you wherever you go and share it with your family, your friends, and each person you might meet. Namaste. Namaste. My name is Clint, and this has been Yin Yoga. Thanks for coming.